Welcome to the Long COVID podcast with me, Jackie Baxter. I am really excited to bring you today's episode. Please do check out the links in the show notes where you can find the podcast website, social media and support group, as well as a link to buy me a coffee if you are able. You should not rely on any medical information contained in this podcast and related materials in making medical, health-related or other decisions. Please do consult a doctor or other health professional. I love to hear from you. If you've got any suggestions or feedback or just want to say hey, then please do get in touch. I really hope you enjoy this episode, so here we go. Hello and welcome to this episode of the Long COVID podcast. I am absolutely delighted to be joined today by Uros, who is going to share his recovery story. So I'm so excited to dive into all of this, what worked, what didn't, what does life look like now. So thank you so much for joining me today. It's so lovely to see you.
Thank you for the invitation. I really appreciate it.
It's absolutely my pleasure. As you'll hear as we go on, this is not the first time that Uros and I have met. So we're going to get into that, I hope. So can you tell us just a little bit before we get sort of more into this, what was life like before you got unwell?
Well, quite well, actually. At least I thought so. Now looking back, maybe I would comment on it differently. But at the time, I was at the end of a 15-month sabbatical, during which we traveled a little bit with my family. I was physically quite active, in a good shape. So, I don't know, 2 times a week I went to the gym with personal trainer to lift some weights. 3 times a little bit of running. 1 time, like mobility exercise, it's basically an hour of stretching. So I wanted to live healthier, let's say, and so on. And I started, let's say, a new career. So it kind of organically happened during the sabbatical. I started mentoring young entrepreneurs. And it was like this small consultancy business. And I basically tried to, let's say, organize my life in the way I like it, let's say, so a little bit more relaxed than past 20 years. And I thought it was working. Oh, yeah, and I was also, let's say, during sabbatical, I took up on psychotherapy, let's say, so I got into the therapy and so on, and I worked through some things, so everything should be well.
Yeah, so this is really interesting because a lot of people, and this was my experience as well, had a period of quite intense stress, whether it was one big event or whether it was a lot of sort of chronic stress, kind of leading up to when they got unwell, which, probably contributed to what happened afterwards. Whereas from what you're describing, it sounds like you were going through this kind of period of transition into, a very, very healthy way of living. So it almost seems like the other way around from what you're describing.
That was my intention. Let's say there were some underlying stuff that I didn't address. Looking back now, I know that. But at the moment, I was quite happy. I even, let's say, did a first time in my life like preventive health checkup, the one that you pay at the private institution and they check everything. They found a thyroid problem I was not aware of, which probably was the source of the tiredness, at least so I thought at the time. I went on, let's say, supplements, let's say, so I now get a supplement hormone of DHS and everything was great. So I've really started feeling great at the time. So then a little bit before the new year of 2024, yeah, probably, so at the end of 2023, I got COVID for the second time. So it was not even the first time, it was the second time. I got vaccinated 3 times before. So let's say I thought, okay, nothing special. The only thing that bothered me was that for the New Year's Eve, so let's say we had an arrangement with another family so that kids will, because they're the same age and everybody's looking up to it. So I was really happy because on the New Year's Eve, I was okay. I got myself tested 2 times, 3 times, not positive anymore. Okay, great, we can do this. Felt a little bit tired, but otherwise okay. We had a wonderful evening. Let's say we were up to 3 a.m., which for me it was okay, great. And then, let's say 5 days after the New Year's Eve, I felt okay. So 10 days after, I said, okay, now I can try gym again. So I went there, lifted some weights with personal trainer, and during this 1 hour session, I felt some kind of strange. I don't know how to describe it, but like the energy went out of me. But I said, okay, maybe I came back too soon. So I just, let's say, okay, no more physical activity for a week. And I did everything. I started having meetings with clients and so on. Next week, a week after, okay, now it's again a week, 7 days, and I feel okay. Why not? I try again. And it repeated a little bit, let's say, more intense. Let's say, so even the personal trainer noticed, so, okay, what's wrong? What happened at this moment? I told him, okay, I just felt weak at the time. But again, finish the session, go to the lunch, and the next day I didn't feel so good. So the next day it was even worse. And let's see, then it just went a little bit worse each day. So I had some meetings with the clients, and I started losing words. I didn't, let's say, it never happened to me before. So during the conversation, I just didn't know what I was talking about. I still remember with one client asking them, "Can I just lay on the couch for like half an hour?" during the coaching session. I did, and I feel better and so on. And then during, I believe, this mobility exercise, so the stretching, again, a week later, it happened that after 15 minutes, I felt really, really bad. I pushed through till the end because, yes, of course you have to. Uh, and it's like 10 minutes drive from my home. I barely made it home. And then I was so scared what's happening. I didn't, it's really unusual. Uh, and I just started canceling in-person meeting with clients, so I did it over the Zoom. And again, the same stuff. After like 15 minutes, I couldn't manage anymore, so I just scheduled it for 1 hour, so nothing more. And the week after, let's say there's one client with a problem, I felt better. I said, okay, let's go for a talk and walk and talk because in like a crisis situation, it's better for them. If they walk, they can share it more easily. And we went really slow. I was really happy. Oh, yes, I made it. It's getting better. And then in the evening, my son asked me if I can drive him to the bookstore because we have this rule that once per month he can buy a book in a bookstore. Everything that gets him reading, so even if it's comic. And this was one thing over the top. Again, I barely made it back. And then basically I was bedbound from that moment on. So I couldn't, I was really tired. I didn't know what happened. I started Googling for my symptoms, which I know it's not recommended. And I went on this National Institute of Public Health website about COVID, if it's COVID related, long COVID, and they described some symptoms and so on. So I identified post-exertional malaise. It's so unusual as a symptom that it was really easy to identify. Went looking, searching for it online, tried to find some community. I don't know how I end up on Reddit in CFS subreddit. I would not recommend to anybody because this was like the most depressing week of my life. Because they are so fatalistic, nothing can improve, nothing can happen. If somebody recover, they're lying. Tried to contact my GP, I believe you call it. Uh, they were on strike at the time, so it was like 10 days from now. So okay, I will read a little bit more about it. And I don't know why I just put in into Google long COVID recovery, And I believe that you're not aware of it. There was a video from Raylan's channel that what came up, and it was an interview with you. So the first thing, let's say the first positive thing on this journey was me listening to you discussing with Raylan about your journey, how it helped you, what you tried, and I was like, okay, breathing. Interesting, because up until this experience, let's say I was really dismissive of alternative approaches. Let's say I had some bad experiences in the past with, let's say, charlatans, people who just try to take money of vulnerable people. So I was dismissive. But because I read about everything, and you know this story about three blind people who are presented with the elephant. And let's say first one touches the trunk and he says, okay, this is like a snake. The second touches the tail and he, oh no, it's a rope. And the one who touches the foot, oh, it's tree. So this is my experience reading about long COVID, like scientific articles, explanations. Each article just focused on one symptoms, and it was like it's a tree, it's a snake, but there was no underlying cause, nothing explanation, and it was really depressing. Okay, how long should I wait for a cure? So in this mindset, I said to myself, okay, if there's any, I will probably try other stuff if it doesn't sound like somebody's trying to rip me off like money-wise, and if it will not, let's say, hurt me, if there's not this possibility. So listening to you and you discussing the breathing as the first step, okay, I can try this. So nothing should be wrong with breathing, and it sounds, there was some sense to what you were saying. So I believe the next day I already contacted you via email, chose a course, and then waited for the course to start because it was like a month out. So it was okay, I will have to wait a month to see. And then my life was basically looking through, each day I watched some of the videos and try to find out what could work for me or what not. Oh yeah, and let's say I had an appointment with GP. And let's say what now I know it was a kind of a brain fog I experienced there for a last time because I have to wait for him like 45 minutes sitting in. And if I would not put down the notes, let's say jotted down some notes a night before, I would not be able to describe to him what's happening with me. And he saw me in this condition, and he actually believed me. So I was referred to the long COVID, let's say, specialist. I didn't know that we have it. And most GPs in Slovenia don't know because I talked with people with similar experience. They don't know it. It's like a part of cleaning for different infections or something like that. So you have to know where are you trying to get an appointment. And 3 weeks later, I got an appointment there, and I was put on this state disability, let's say, so long-term disability. So this was actually better experience that most people have in this kind of condition. But there was nothing useful. Okay, so just do some pacing, and people do get better. So they didn't tell me that nobody gets better. So this is also okay. So they didn't kill any hope. But nothing that you could do if I would, let's say, just go up. Oh, my GP asked me if he can prescribe me something for depression. And I told to him, look, I'm not depressed. You know that I was on sabbatical for like 15 months already because I was there because of thyroid problem and so on. I'm not depressed. And he told me, yeah, but maybe you will be.
It's harsh. I
Yeah.
mean, I think, not to dismiss mental health because mental health and physical health do go hand in hand.
Yeah.
But yeah, ouch also. But I think, you hit on something really, really powerful there when you said, the sort of the support groups and the Reddits and the sort of information that you were finding. And it's such a difficult balance, isn't it? Because you had a doctor who listened which is great, and isn't it a bit sad that we're like, oh, the doctor listened to me, great, you've got a really good one there. But at least they did listen, even if they weren't able to do something helpful. Many people have had experiences where the doctor hasn't listened or hasn't believed them, but we are kind of forced into this position where we have to do our own research, we have to find our own way through this, because there isn't really a medical system that is able to help us through it. But the difficulty there is that because we're forced to do our own research, we end up reading or listening or consuming an awful lot of stuff that either isn't useful or is, actually making you feel worse, and being very mindful of what we're consuming. But in order to find the things that are going to help us, we have to wade through quite a lot of stuff that isn't, and sort of very in-depth research papers that maybe we're not able to understand, or as you were describing with your beautiful elephant analogy, it might be describing in detail something, but that's not very helpful if it doesn't tell me what to do about it. And then we do eventually find something. And for you, we connected, and I'm so grateful that we did. Or for me, breathing was also the first thing that I found. And that was why I then chose to do what I do. But there's something about that first thing, isn't there, that's very powerful, because it gives you that hope, it gives you something, it gives you some sort of control or something to hang on to, I think, that then enables you to move forward to find maybe the next thing. Oh, certainly that was my experience. We'll be right back. I'm interrupting myself for a second to tell you about long COVID breathing. The fabulous Vicky Jones and I have teamed up to bring you long COVID breathing. We are both passionate about sharing our expertise and experience of the breath and how incredibly helpful that can be with long COVID. We've worked together to develop a course that is specifically tailored to those with long COVID. It's a 6-week course with 12 sessions, all delivered online. The community feel and learning that we're all sharing is such a joy. To find out more information and to sign up for our courses, workshops and other shorter sessions, please check out the link below, longcovidbreathing.com, or email longcovidbreathing@gmail.com to start your breathing journey with us.
Yeah, I believe that for me, now looking back, it's not so long, but it was like before I, let's say, went searching for long COVID recovery, it was like 10 days of despair. And each day it was worse. Let's say, because there's a lot of information out there that this is like chronic. So it can be managed. Some people recover, but not so many. And especially if you go looking, because I went down the rabbit hole of CFS, not long COVID. My mistake looking back, because for long COVID, the statistic is a little bit better. And after I believe 5 days, I actually reconnected with my therapist. I told him, okay, I will probably need you in this process, because I know that, let's say, I was like a week in this bedbound phase, and my son wanted something from me. My wife was not at home. I couldn't help him. And he didn't understand at the moment what's so wrong. And it was basically, next day I had a crash, but from the emotions I experienced this evening. So it's such a dark place, so that the first time that you see, oh, here's an actual person that recovered. Yeah, it's such an amazing feeling that I could not describe. I'm getting goosebumps right now, just remembering it. So yeah, it was for me, and then listening to all the different stories of recovery. Let's say in the meantime, I tried a lot of stuff. Let's say, so okay, I subscribed. Let's say I enrolled into your class for let's say long COVID breathing, but I had to wait. So I believe that you mentioned let's say, so cold water and stuff. And I said to myself, okay, I cannot go out, so no cold water, maybe cold showers. And it was not good for me. Now looking back, I know it was too soon. My nervous system was still highly dysregulated, and But yeah, I tried cold showers. It didn't work. And then yoga nidra. Oh, thank you for mentioning this. This was like this was so great. It was like this calm moment in a day, which is also calm, but let's say of a lot of frustration. And yoga nidra became like a first thing that actually became part of my new daily routine, apart from watching, let's say, different recovery videos, and then trying to find some kind of theory from it, let's say. So what works, what doesn't. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's something amazing about, I mean, yoga nidra, I think it's magic. And it was, yeah, it was something that I discovered that really helped me to bring some sort of peace and quiet to my mind, because I have a very busy brain, which is always on. And, you know, my brain is wonderful. It's a superpower in so many ways, but there are times where I need to turn it off. And for me, the yoga nidra was a way of just dialing down what was going on in my head to bring a little bit of peace to my mind as well as my body. And I just remember it being this kind of space where I could just be, you know, away from kind of expectations. And, you know, you described, you know, your child. Now, I don't have kids, so I can't understand this, but I can imagine that as a parent, not being able to care for your child must be such a difficult place to be. And, you know, you mentioned that things could get quite dark. And, you know, I think we don't talk about this enough because, you know, we talk a lot about the physical struggles of a condition like long COVID, you know, which are, you know, invisible enough. I think, you know, the physical struggles aren't always very visible. But the mental side of that as well, I think, you know, is such a difficult place to be. And for me, I found that yoga nidra was really helpful for that, to sort of help to bring my, I suppose, emotions almost back into some sort of regulation as well as my body. Um, yeah.
Yeah. Let's say, yeah, it was really dark. Let's say for me, especially what was painful, because I started imagining, okay, if this is how it will be, there's a lot of stuff that I will not be able to do with my kids anymore. And
Yeah.
this just brought me into this downward spiral of negativity and so on.
Mm,
But I also, let's say, yoga nidra, now looking back and with the stuff that I learned, I was never, before long COVID, I was not aware that there's such a thing as a cognitive stress, let's say. You mentioned that you have like a busy mind. Me also, let's say my mind never stopped. I didn't even know that it's possible to rest your mind. This is such, yeah, I would be able to argue with somebody that this is bullshit if somebody told me this before. Yeah. So yoga nidra was the first step of me, let's say, actually resting my mind because it's like guided and it's so gentle in a way. And it was mind blowing. Yeah, this, how can you be, let's say, the body is asleep and you are still like conscious in a way and so on. So yeah, it was the first thing that actually made me better in a way. Not physically, I was still, let's say, I managed to do 300 steps per day at this time, but yeah, it worked. What then? Then, let's say, yeah, quite early on, I started intermittent fasting. It was just logical conclusion. If I'm laying down all the time and eating the same, this will not be really, it will not be okay for me. And somebody mentioning, okay, in one interview, somebody mentioned fasting, that it's also good. So I just said, okay, what not? Why not intermittent fasting? Oh, and even before the interviews, I just noticed that my morning coffee, it feels different, and it's like it's not good, and I stopped drinking it. And I was trying to get off coffee a couple of times before, and each and every time I had these horrible headaches. This time, nothing. I just stopped. So probably my body was in such a bad shape that not even a headache, not even a little. I just stopped drinking coffee, cold turkey, done. So yeah, So this was it. And then, yeah, what else? Oh, I started experimenting with different things mentioned. So somatic tracking, ETF tapping, and some things, laughter yoga. This was a little bit uncomfortable at the beginning, let's say, laughing out loud on cue. But okay, but something resonated with me, some things didn't, let's say. So ETF tapping, not somatic tracking. Yeah, I can do that. Especially, let's say, I got some guiding meditation somewhere, and now I know it was, let's say, the beginning part, it was like grounding techniques. And it was really nice. So reconnecting with body and so on, feeling safe, all this stuff. Oh, and sleep. Sleep was, I let's say my sleep experience was really bad. I always woke up tired. But I started to be really, I don't know, really on schedule regarding sleep. So each day at 8 o'clock, I should be, I was always in bed, but I should be, let's say, preparing for sleep, not reading anymore, and so on. So there was like this strict regimen, and I started to use it. And yeah, it helped a little bit, let's say, at least with sleeping. I slept, I didn't woke up rested, but at least I slept through the night. So this was, let's say, this first phase of trying to find solutions or something like that. And I know I just started, let's say, started a list of stuff that's available for me each day, and then I chose like a menu in a restaurant, something that seems like I would like to do this day, and try it, so on. So it was not each day, except yoga nidra. This was like each day, maybe multiple times a day, but each day I tried something new, and at the end I got to the new daily routine that kind of works for me. Thank God that let's say I had problems reading, so I couldn't read at the beginning, but I could listen without a problem, and I could also watch some stuff, let's say. So this is why I could do recovery stories and so on. I was not bored to death.
We'll be right back. Hey there, I'm just jumping in for a second to see if you're enjoying this episode. If you're finding it useful, maybe you would consider sharing it somewhere, a friend, a group, or even on your Twitter feed. If everyone was able to share just once, we'd be able to get this information out to even more people who really, really need it. So please consider sharing somewhere if you possibly can. I hope you enjoy the episode, and thank you so much. Yeah, so you went through this kind of phase of sort of experimentation, I suppose,
Yeah.
where you're like, okay, I'll try a bit of that. I'll try a bit of that. And some of them worked really nicely, like the Yoga Nidra, and some of them worked less well. And I remember, I think it was Raylan actually that said, the great thing about something not working is that you can just throw it away and you don't have to try it anymore. Whereas when I tried something and it didn't work, I thought, oh no, it didn't work. This is a disaster. So I loved her take on it, where it was like, well, it doesn't work. Fine. Do something
Yeah,
else.
and it's also great because there's so many stories and it's so many options to try, let's say.
Yeah. Totally. So yeah, so we went through this kind of process of experimentation, and you found, yeah, some things that worked really well, some things that didn't, and you sort of worked this into your daily routine. So what was your kind of next step? This was just before you started the breathing course, I think you said.
Yeah, this was like in February and we started in March. So
Yes.
I started to notice some patterns because let's say, my friend says that everybody has some kind of superpower, and my brain is like really good at pattern matching. Even before in, let's say, work environment, this was like my superpower. So I started noticing some patterns and so on. And then I also, let's say, listened to the interview with Dr. Becca Kennedy. And she was like spot on with what I noticed, let's say, patterns, but she explained them really well. So I also then enrolled into her class. which then started at the beginning of April, but then we started our breathing classes. And okay, the breathing techniques, great. Happy to learn them. But what was also really great was like this community of 6 people meeting twice per week with the same experience. Because I'm also quite lucky. Let's say my family supported me, my wife believed me, she took over everything. Let's say, because for me it was really hard not to contribute to the household chores or anything like that. So to have there like 6 people in pretty much the same experience and understanding, and you don't have to start each and every conversation with explaining what long COVID is and so on, because you're getting sick of it. But it's the only thing that you can actually talk about because nothing else is happening. There were like 6 people with the same experience, supporting each other, and it was great, let's say. But also, let's say, then the breathing techniques, understanding diaphragm. I still remember that I asked you when it's okay to do a mouth breathing, and you looked at me a little bit confused. Never. uh, yeah, because when I played water polo when I was younger, so for me mouth breathing was always connected with sports, and then I was okay, but then I will be more active. So then mouth breathing was okay, and you were no, nose breathing all the way. And for me, okay, this is not possible, but okay, I accepted it. And as you said, some techniques, let's say some breathing techniques are more your thing than others. So I found some of them, and I believe it was like 2 weeks or 3 weeks in that I was now I was already, let's say, I graduated to the couch from the bed, so I was able to do around 500 steps per day. So I was more couch bound. Yay, there was TV, and I was watching some sitcom, doing left nostril breathing, and something was so strange, so different, and I didn't identify the first what it was. But then I remembered when you explained to us, okay, if you are really in this relaxed state, in rest and digest, that you have like saliva in your mouth and tummy rumbles, and I was, oh, I'm actually in this rest and digest state. So it was, for me, it was like first time in 15 years that I probably achieved it. It was so strange, let's say, the experience for the first time, that it really surprised me. And it was so this dichotomy of, let's say, lying there, not able to do anything, and at the same time, feeling this like peace of mind, everything for the first time. It was surreal in a way, because I should be really stressed out, but I was not. I was calm, relaxed, and able to focus just on TV, not looking at the phone at the same time, just one thing. It was, wow, it was really an experience of, again, one of these moments that you remember forever. So yeah, and then it helped a little bit day by day. I started, let's say, doing this, not pacing, but I started to be, let's say, also physically active again. And again, your advice helped, let's say, because we live on the first floor in our house. So there's the steps problem. And it's just 14 steps, but it looked like a big challenge. And again, pacing yourself by nose breathing, it really worked. So I believe that for the first week, for me, it was okay going down the stairs and then up the stairs, and waited when I felt the urge to mouth breathe, I just waited, rested a little bit, and then go on. And at the end of the week, I was able to do the stairs. Then I I went out a little bit, let's say maybe 100 meters and so on. At first, my wife was, let's say, with me, just in case, and pacing myself with a breath, let's say. So it helped a little bit. And then, let's say, this class of Dr. Kennedy's class really helped explaining the science behind it and so on. So I also understood, let's say, that the breathing helped, let's say, it was a tool to calm my nervous system, but it was not a tool to remove my, let's say, stress sources. So what my stress sources are was really surprising. You mentioned that, look, my life was completely okay before. Let's say I was at the end of sabbatical. I had some savings, so I could afford it. No stress money-wise, which is another thing that I don't understand. Okay, I was put on this disability, but if I would be like in a need to work to provide for my family, this is whole another level of stress that I'm grateful I didn't have. But let's say to anybody who experienced this, I really admire them to go through that at the same time. So what was, let's say, my source of stress? Emotions. This I was never able to. I had unhealthy relationship with emotions, and I was not aware of it. Let's say my friends always describe me as the cool guy, the one that never gets angry, never like even kill, never gets angry. In the crisis, I was the one people came to because look, okay, it's the crisis, we'll solve it. I was calming influence and so on. But this was an outside picture, let's say. Inside, I got really good at suppressing emotion when I started feeling them. And when I was talking with my son about it, I described to him that it's like walking down the road, seeing a poisonous snake, and you just pick it up and throw it in a basket or a bag on your backpack. And then each and every time this snake comes out and bites you, you just put it back. But let's say during the years, there was a lot of these snakes, let's say so, and constant biting. And in this class, you are taught something, I believe it's called, I don't know, it's expressive writing and let's see how to deal with these memories from the past that bother you and so on. And I followed the recommended routine and it helped. It's really interesting that some stuff that it's not some, when I was listening to different interviews and they mentioned like traumatic experience, I was like, I didn't have any trauma. Probably COVID was trauma for me. I don't know at the beginning. And then, okay, there's big T trauma, little T trauma. And here, okay, I didn't have any traumatic experience, like big traumatic experience, but there was a lot of this constant small stuff that bothered me, but I never resolved them. And I started doing this expressive writing exercise. And after 2 times of writing about stuff and doing, I don't know, self-compassion and so on, it just stopped. It never came up again. So for me, it's like, okay, I carried with me this for 20 years. And then, I don't know, 3 days of writing, some self-compassion, and it's gone. Such a missed opportunity. I was able to do this at the beginning. It would be so much better. Yeah, oh, and self-compassion. This was, this, I was so surprised by this. Uh, uh, I found this Kirsten Neff guided meditation of 20 minutes on self-compassion. I don't know who recommended it to me, a therapist, or it was mentioned in this class or something like that. Did it for the first time and I felt something move in my chest. Oh, it's strange. 3 times in, uh, I was crying for the first time. I don't know, but really crying. I shed some tears before, but this was like really crying, feeling something that I didn't know how to identify. And it started opening up something in me. So I believe that self-compassion for me and dealing with emotions, self-compassion was the first step. And then I dealt with emotions. And during this whole process, I had like weekly meetings over Zoom, of course, with my therapist. So now looking back, it looks like a really short time because each and every day was the same. But during this period, it was okay, there's spring, now it's the beginning of the summer, and so on. And you're still in, okay, now you're doing a little bit of walks and so on. But let's say it took me like some 3 months or something like that, and I was able to slowly come on top of the nearby hill. It's like 2 kilometers of walk in one direction, maybe 100 meters of high difference or something like that. So nothing steep, but I was so happy because it's also, I started using visualization techniques, visualizing me on top, how easy it is to be on the top, how much strength I have in me and so on. So for the first time when I sit on this bench at the top of the hill, look, the view was a little bit different than I visualized, but I was sitting there, I was so happy. It was so, yeah, another great experience. So it was, yeah, it was week after week, doing some routine, and yeah, let's say being compassionate, exploring this repressed emotions, I would not say. Oh, and another thing that really helped me during this process, and it's also part of this course, is identifying core beliefs and the rules connected with them. This was mind-blowing for me. Let's say it also explains a little bit my personality. And because I'm type A, of course, let's say highly driven and so on, I know that for me, what was like measure of success was that you gave everything. It was not the goal, but you have to give everything. But everything was like really everything. I remember that at the beginning, it really bothered me that I didn't know how long the recovery will took. And I was discussing with my therapist. It doesn't bother me anymore that I don't know how long the recovery will take because I will recover. It seems I'm on a upwards trajectory, but something still bothers me. He asked me what, and I say because each day I don't do everything possible. I'm not, putting myself in. And he looks at me. Why does this bother you? And I say something. It doesn't translate well, but I said something in accordance because only if you gave everything, then you're a good boy. So, I talked with me like you would talk with a small child or something like that. And it was so mind-blowing. Oh shit, this is this hidden rule, core beliefs and so on. So this really helped me change some stuff, and especially in how I perceive myself and what a success is. Uh, and it changed my relationship with myself, with my children, and with my wife, really a lot. So yeah.
Yeah. I love this because I think, you don't go through an experience like this and come out the same person that you went in. And I used to think that that was a bad thing. I thought if I'm not going to be the same person I was before, then I'm losing a part of me. And what I have come to realize as I went through my recovery and have now come out the other end is actually that I have gained so much and that I have, become a much happier, healthier, better person than I was before. And I still do and are a lot of the things that I was, but I now am viewing it through this lens of is this useful right now? Actually, should I be working given that it's 9 o'clock in the evening, or should I close the laptop like 4 hours ago and actually do something that brings me joy? And it's kind of, yeah, it's a transformation, I think, isn't it? And for me, it's been very much ongoing as well. We continue to see ourselves and have more awareness around ourselves, and and things like emotions, like you say, that we're not supposed to show emotions. That's weakness if you show emotions. And actually, no, it's not. Real strength is in showing and processing those emotions. So it's completely flipping the mindset on that, isn't it? And I love that you've kind of been through this process and discovered all these really wonderful things that have changed the way that you interact with other people and yourself as well. I think that's wonderful. Um, so, you've kind of talked through all of these things that helped, and, how you sort of been so grateful for those things that you were able to do, like sitting on top of that small hill and just thinking this was the most amazing thing ever. Um, what was that moment of recovery like? So when you finally said, okay, yeah, I'm there, I've done it. How did that kind of look?
Non-eventful. So yeah, no, because for me, let's say I still remember, let's say what I was mostly focused on, it was movement. I really
Mm.
wanted to move again, let's say. So in this class of Dr. Kennedy, there's like 8 modules, movement was number 7. And I was so frustrated. Why number 7? It's 7 weeks out. going through this whole emotional work, now I understand. It's great that it's at the end. But it was moment. And let's say the moment for me, it was after maybe 6 months, let's say, so at the beginning of the summer, I was able to basically walk without a problem. Not a problem. I went on walks. I was even able to drive a little bit, like half an hour myself already, so quite nice recovery. Then the symptoms I didn't notice as much before started to become more, they came in front. I was not even aware at the beginning that, let's say, my heart rate was strange. So let's say sitting up, I had like quick, let's say, heart rate, increased heart rate. Standing up, it was like 160 or something like that, 170, not working anything. So I was not able to, let's say, sit and have a conversation. And it was so strange that even after I went on an hour walk, and during the whole walk, the heart rate was like 80, came down, sit down, let's say, rested, having sit up, 90, 100 in sitting position. So it was okay, non-logical symptoms. So this one were a little bit, let's say, harder. Heart rate, I tried to ignore, and I had this strange head tension. It was not headache. It could develop in headache, but it was like somebody would put my head in some kind of screw and just, I don't know, strange head tension. You know how it's hard to explain the symptoms to somebody. This is one of them. And this was prevalent. Let's say I was trying do anything, let's say visualizing that it's gone, do somatic tracking and so on. And at the end, I came with this across Dr. Schubiner's 5 Fs. And one of them, I don't know the other 4, but one of them is frustration. So stuff that you shouldn't do. I believe it's fear, focus, fix, and fight. You should not do anything with the symptoms, but also don't engage with frustration. And I said, okay, how should now I not be frustrated by the symptoms and so on? And I believe I came across the Dan from Pain Free You and his like daily talks that he does in the phone. And he has some kind of that opposite of frustration is indifference. So for me, I didn't even know what should I do? How should I not be frustrated? Okay, you can be indifferent and so on. Ignore them. Ignore the symptoms, and then let's say at the end of the summer, most of the symptoms were gone. But then when we came home from the sea, they returned a little bit. But I was able to move. I was able to do stuff. So in like 10 months in, I came back to the gym for the first time. I tried once before, but I just canceled the appointment because I didn't feel like it. So I went into the gym and started doing a little bit weight exercises, really slow. And it was okay, but still sometimes there was this like head tension symptom. And then there was not there and I didn't notice it. I noticed absence probably, let's say a week in or 10 days in, I don't know, because I ignored it. So this is why it was uneventful. But you mentioned that it's an ongoing process. Let's say, so for me, I believe that this part, let's say, of this last symptom was, let's say, this mindset of not being sick anymore. Because I don't believe, I'm surprised how quickly I developed this mindset. Okay, I'm sick. Let's say I have long COVID. I cannot do this stuff, because I started to recover quite quickly. Let's say for me, I was bedbound around a month, then housebound mostly another month, and then I was already, let's say, doing short walks and so on. But still I developed, okay, this fear of stuff that I couldn't do and so on. So leaving this behind, it was a process. I was physically already okay. I still had this weird little symptom, but I could do everything. So then I slowly started to do, let's say, maybe reconnect with some of my consulting clients and so on. And then somehow I fell back into the old patterns and the symptom came back. Let's say I believe it was February of this year, so maybe a year in. And I was, okay, what's happening now and so on, going back through my notes in my mind, what's happening. Okay, so it's nothing physical, probably something with emotions, no. And I remembered, because I jotted down my insights during this process, because I had one of the insights 2 times, and I say, okay, I forgot it the first time, so better to jot it down. And then each morning I just went through them, and it helped to, let's say, readjust my personality a little bit. And one of the things that I noticed in that I jotted down, that I looked at activity always from the duty perspective. I should do it, even though it was an activity that I enjoyed. I don't know, going on a bike ride with my children, great activity. But in my mind, okay, I should do this so they have like the experience with their father when they're young. And I noticed, oh, I'm doing this again now with my work. I'm just going through the motions from the duty perspective and so on. So now I started to ask myself, why? Why should I do this? So, and the symptoms went away in a week. I didn't do a lot of, I stopped doing some stuff. Let's say, so I believe this is, I don't know, phase 5 of recovery. If the phase 1 is, let's say, calming down the neural system, phase 2 is removing the stressors, phase 3 was like gradual exposure to the life again, phase 4 is maybe leaving this mindset of being sick behind. Phase 5 is probably integration of everything that you learned in your, let's say, in quotation mark, normal life. And I'm in this phase right now. So I don't want to answer, let's say, this recovery question. I don't want to be recovered in a sense that my life would be the same as before. I want to take everything that I learned and have a better life.
Yeah, I think that's a beautiful way of looking at it. You're Uros 2.0 in the same
Yeah.
way that I am Jackie 2.0. You're the new version. And I think that's wonderful. And you're right, the integration back into life. I mean, I find this really hard for me. I got sick right at the start of the pandemic, and I sort of dropped out of life for,
Yeah.
several years. And then I was coming back into life a different person, but it was also quite a different world as well. And when you do drop out, even for a shorter time, you are a new person coming into a new world, and you're trying to work out, how do I fit in as this new person? And it's really exciting, but it's also quite a scary and difficult experience, I think. And it takes a bit of time, I think. It certainly took me a bit of time. And I guess it's, as you say, coming back to those lessons that we've learned of self-compassion, and allowing ourselves to feel that, and yeah, be gentle with ourselves as we go through that process, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really, I don't know, it's really something, let's say. And it also, I'm much slower now in starting, let's say, a new business, a new career, because I'm thinking about, okay, what I'm passionate about. Let's say now I'm 47. I still have some, let's say, working time, some opportunity to do some stuff, but I would like to do stuff that I'm passionate about. So yeah, so I'm slowly developing this with one of our friends, and yeah, okay, I'll burn through some savings more, let's say, but hopefully at the end I will do something. I will work each and every day in some field that I'm passionate about, not something that like before, that I was slowly getting disillusioned, let's say.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we learn what is really genuinely important to us, I think, don't we? When you go through an experience like this where you kind of lose the ability to really do anything, you do learn, what is it that really matters? And it's not always the things that you originally thought, I don't think. That was certainly my experience. Yeah. Uros, thank you so much for coming along and sharing your story. And it's been such a pleasure to be a small part of that journey. And just, yeah, thank you so much for sharing. I will make sure that I drop links in the show notes to everything that you've mentioned. So if anyone wants to follow up any of that, then please do. And yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you for the invitation and being a big part of my recovery, not small part. So thank you again.
Thank you so much to all of my guests and to you for listening. I hope you've enjoyed it, or at least found it useful. The Long COVID podcast is entirely self-produced and self-funded. I'm doing all of this myself. If you're able to, please go to buymeacoffee.com/longcovidpod to help me cover the costs of hosting the podcast. Please look out for the next episode of the Long COVID podcast. It's available on all the usual podcast hosting things. And do get in touch. I'd love to hear from you.